this video, we're going to cover rows in a lot more detail. Now, rows are a fundamental building block of how a page is structured in the builder here, and they're very versatile in their design. Once you understand how to use them to their full potential, you can do a lot. Every piece of content you see on a page is contained within a row. Rows stretch the entire width of a page and they stack one on top of each other from the header all the way to the footer. Every row has its own set of settings and parameters. When you hover over a row, you get this row prompt here in the top left. Let's click on this. Now we have a lot of helpful tools at our disposal. We have auto shifting arrows here. So if we want to move it up or down, let's give it a click. And it drops down with ease. And of course we can put it back up with a click up. These are building blocks for your page. We can add a blank row above with a simple click right here, giving us a whole new canvas to add more content to. Let's remove this. I can add an interest animation to this row. When it comes into view on browser mode, we can select which device, if any, we want it to hide it on. We can copy it and paste it somewhere else. We can set it as a navigation anchor, and of course remove it if we don't need it. Now let's click into this option here for edit design. What we do, we get a powerful panel of settings exclusive to the row that we opened it for. Every row has its own settings panel allowing complete control over everything. Another way to access this design panel is to click on some empty space inside the row. Just like that. Now let's run down some options here. Full bleed row. When this is toggled off, the row is going to limit the content inside to a maximum width of 960 pixels. Toggling it on will allow the content to stretch the entire width of the user's browser. And actually, the second row is a good example, so let's do it. We have a single text box centered in this row, and right now it's limited to 960 pixels wide. And let's jump in the center panel. And if we toggle on full bleed, we now have our content stretching to the browser's edges. And you can of course fine tune the settings of this, of course, which you can find in the settings panel. Now let's toggle this back off and jump to the top row. Next, we have background settings. Any row at any time can be filled with a color or gradient, an image as we see here, or a video. Want to replace your image? No problem. Let's click replace. Select a new image from our image library. Awesome, right? And boom, it's updated. And if you're using images, you also have option to add a background slider. Click this prompt here, add some additional images, and you're set. Next up, it's parallel scrolling. Let's stop this on for a second. And you may be familiar with this. This gives you a 3D behavior when we scroll up and down the page. Let's put this back off if you want to stay flat. Next up, we have some amazing positional settings. They're intuitive. Oftentimes, our images won't have the same pixels dimension as the real estate as they're filming. We can adjust these by clicking on each of these. We can customize background overlay, which allow text to pop out a little bit. We have some border settings, and now we have spacing settings. Spacing grid like this you're gonna find on just about every single row, column, widget, anything in the builder. Anytime you want to, at any time you can add or reduce the space, the margin, which are the numbers on the outer margin, and the padding are the inside section. You can see 100 pixels of padding up top and bottom. Let's say we want the row a bit taller, we can increase it to 150, and look at that. As you can see, everything is adjusted in real time with ease. Lastly, let's scroll down the page a little bit more. We can see how each row sits right on top of each other, and moving content around each row is really simple. Any of these elements can be dragged up or down, left and right, and to move them around entirely, just click and drag, and when you have the proper spot pinpointed, drop. It is that simple.